And yeah, now to hear on the capabilities of registry.
Sure, thanks. So, like we were saying, as we move to digital systems and different organizations and departments are evolving into digital at their own pace, it is very important to have an environment where all these systems can work together seamlessly, because you want these systems to get access to accurate and relevant data that they need. Right? A system should not have to store copies of data which technically belongs to another system, because this can very quickly become stale, and then you have systems get out of sync very quickly. So this is where the concept of a registry comes into play. And the idea is that a system that is managing the life cycle of some data should be able to act as a single source of truth for the data, right? And other systems which need to use this data should be able to make use of it seamlessly in a trusted and secure fashion. So that is the whole idea behind a registry. So why is it that you want to think about using a registry? So in our experience of working with several organizations, there are very common problems that we have encountered, right? So think of somebody or an organization that is aiming to train its members or its teachers. So the first questions that come up are, what are the current skill sets which are available among my teachers, right? Or what are the trainings that are required to be delivered? How do I get to this data? Is there one place where all this data is available? How do I find the information which will let me plan my trainings, and it will allow me to figure out what are the rewards that I want to give to my achievers? Or let's say as a district official, I'm trying to figure out what the skill gaps are and which teacher do I transfer to which school. Now, there is no single place where I might be able to get this information from. So the access to reliable data, and that too from a single source, is a bit of a problem. There might be an Excel sitting somewhere, but typically what we have seen is that usually is outdated. So these are the common problems which necessitate the need for data from a single source of truth. Now let us look at some of the traditional data management systems and how they have evolved over the years. So ask yourself a question: when does data become useful? Right? It has to be made available at the point in time when you need it. I mean, it might come to you 10 days later, but then there's no use of that data at that point. So traditionally, we have had paper-based systems, files sitting in dusty cupboards, and getting to this data was, quite difficult to say the least. After that, we moved to systems which were digitized. Let's say the paper file became an Excel file sitting on a hard drive somewhere. Yes, it had become digital, but the problem of being able to share still remained. With the advent of the internet, we had online portals where people could look up information that they were interested in. But again, the ability for the system, for another system to read this data and work in a seamless fashion without human intervention is something that was not enabled. So that brings us to stage 4, which is where we'd like all systems to be multiple systems talking to each other in a seamless fashion. Every system being the custodian of master data it is responsible for, and in introducing consent-based sharing, which is I as a system can decide who is allowed to see my data. So these are key capabilities that can allow you to extract maximum value from your data. So like we looked at the earlier example, right? Let's say a state has multiple information systems. There is an attendance system. There could be a transfer system which decides which teacher goes where. There could be another teacher training portal, or there could be a payroll system. I mean, these are realities in today's world. Ideally, you want all of them feeding off the same teacher master data for the state. So let's say that a state maintains a repository of teacher master data, which tells all the other systems what the current address of the teacher is, what the address, what the phone number is, what the current designation, payroll grade, etc. are. Because these are data points owned by the teacher themselves. As a teacher, I can decide to change my phone number at any point in time. I should not have to run around and update this in 10 different systems, which is why you have one system which is the source of truth and all other systems working off it seamlessly. Now, it is not just people data, it could be people or entities. You could have a vehicle registry to which multiple systems refer to. It could be the traffic police system referring to serve a fine. It could be the the signals or the CCTV system at a signal, trying to figure out which car the number plate belongs to, etc. So it is very important to have one source of data for all of these systems to refer to, and that is what a registry enables. You could simplify it as having access to good data across all systems. So Sunbird provides a registry framework called OpenSaber, which is nothing but a thin software layer that you can overlay on top of your existing database. So you might be at a stage where your data is already digital. You might have existing databases in play. What the registry framework does is allow you to overlay a thin software layer on top of your database, which makes it or opens it up for data exchange and access by other systems. So it, again, like all other Sunbird components, this is a configurable layer. You can decide what are the fields you want to expose. You can decide safety restrictions. You can decide what encryptions you want, etc. And this is a configurable and scalable solution so that you don't have to build something like this each time you want to take one of your components digital. You just overlay this on top of your existing database and you're good to go. Essentially allows you to bring your data to life. So that's what we had to cover about the registry. Salim?
Yes, thank you, Rahul.